Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of the 1982 film E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. Now, it's kind of a weird movie to start off this sort of horror marathon. I know it's not necessarily a horror film, but to be honest, I personally think E.T. is pretty creepy looking, and I'm pretty sure there's some people out there who saw this movie when they were a kid and were pretty freaked out by that alien. I mean, I don't think they wanted that alien's glow finger anywhere near them, especially not near their butthole. Anyway, it's really long. Like it's gonna go right up there, and who knows where it's gonna end up, or what it might touch. But anyway, interesting transition. E.T. is a film that I grew up with. I used to watch this film all the time when I was a kid on VHS, and I was looking forward to revisiting this movie. And a YouTuber sent this to me. He sent this to me from my wish list, and so I thought the best thing I could do is review it. And I hate to say this, but I was really disappointed by this film. Now, I'm not saying it sucked, or I thought it was terrible, or I thought it was like a total piece of shit, but I thought it was mediocre. I thought it was stunningly mediocre, shockingly mediocre. For a film that's considered a masterpiece by the New York Post, I don't know, I guess I expected something more. And it's not like this is not a film that I had fond memories of beforehand. So this is an example of a movie where nostalgia doesn't necessarily affect my overall enjoyment of it. I was very bored by this movie for the most part, except for maybe a total of four sequences. There were four scenes in this film that I really liked, and I'll talk about those soon enough. There's some other elements about about the production that I also liked, that I also appreciated. At the end of the day, I just thought it was a time waster. I thought it was okay. It was decent. And sad to say, it was mediocre. But anyway, E.T. is a film that it's one of those movies that it feels like you've already seen it before you even decide to sit down and watch the movie. It was released in 1982. It was a huge hit, one of the biggest hits of the year, and it's directed by Steven Spielberg, and who I like to call the schmuck, or one of my friends likes to call him Steven Spielberg, because there's a little bit of a history with me and E.T. that I kind of developed after I grew up watching the movie. I got this book called The Greatest Sci-Fi Movies Never Made by David Hughes. He talked about the story of Night Skies, which is a film that Steven Spielberg was interested in doing, and for Columbia Pictures, which started out as a sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then it evolved into its own thing. It even had a screenplay by John Sayles, and Spielberg had hired Rick Baker to do the effects. I was really impressed with his work. And then out of the blue, while Steven was shooting Raiders, I think he was with his wife. I believe it might have been Melissa Matheson at the time. I could be wrong. But anyway, he was with his wife on the set of Raiders, and she expressed displeasure about Night Skies. Why aren't there more friendly alien movies? And that sparked Spielberg's imagination, so he decided to do E.T. He went over to Rick Baker's, his warehouse, his place where he's working, his offices, and pretty much told him, we're not doing Night Skies anymore, we're doing E.T. I want you to do the effects. Rick Baker was like, man, I'd love to, Steven, but I can't do it because I have prior obligation to American Werewolf in London. I'm sorry. And Spielberg acted like a total schmuck. He chewed out Rick Baker, took all of the prototype designs for his work on Night Skies. He even took the designs, even literally even he took the designs, and he also even took the the artwork that he was working on, the preliminary artwork, and including artwork for American Werewolf in London. And he just stormed off. And he went to the press and said that hundreds of thousands of dollars are wasted on ineffective ET prototypes. And then, just recently, because I finally got to see the actual artwork, I don't know how Rick Baker got it back, man, somehow. And so, or he got it back and he put it on Twitter, And one of the aliens that he did artwork for looks suspiciously like E.T. And Carlo Rambaldi would go on to win an Oscar for his work on E.T., which the majority of it seems to have been done by Rick Baker, who got zero credit for it. So, yeah, when you hear about that kind of stuff in connotation and in association with this movie, it does kind of, I think it kind of makes the movie, I don't know, it, it kind of hurts your overall view of ET. That's for sure. So, and Spielberg is also smug for his poltergeist stuff and so on, and I've already talked about that ad nauseum. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts on Night Sky, stay tuned because that video will be coming soon. Anyway, yeah, I just had to throw that out there because this film has a direct association with that story. So anyway, they did E.T. It was huge hit. Critics and audiences loved it. Heck, I loved it when I was a kid. But watching it again was just a very disappointing, middling, inconsistently magical experience. There were some scenes that were appropriately magical and memorable, and there were other scenes that weren't. So the film is directed by Steven Spielberg, as we all know. It's based on a screenplay by Melissa Matheson, which I honestly think honestly could be a lot better. It is a very, very, very simple script. It's honestly kind of dull when you think about it. There isn't, this is all it is. And this is a movie that's an hour and 55 minutes, and this is all the plot consists of. A dumpy looking, wrinkly walking ball sack with eyes and human teeth that will haunt your nightmares gets lost and left behind on Earth by his other dumpy, wrinkly walking alien, wrinkly ball sacks. And they leave him behind, and he ends up meeting up with this kid. And the kid in this wrinkly ball sack that inexplicably walks around, they develop a bond with one another, and then there's some kind of shenanigans that go on that are supposed to be funny, but it didn't, or endearing, but it didn't really come across that way to me. It just came across to me like, well, E.T. is kind of a dick. He's getting drunk, and for some reason, whatever E.T. does happens to this kid. So this poor kid is getting drunk in class, making a fool out of himself, embarrassing himself in front of this girl who clearly has a crush on him, and he has a crush on. And yeah, it's not really making things better at all. He's being a nuisance. He's breaking shit. Oh, every now and then he'll make a flower come back to life. Well, great job. Nice one. Thank you, E.T. Um, I really appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. And he loves Reese's Pieces. Hey, I love Reese's Pieces too. So, that's one thing about E.T. I definitely could say I agree with. I'm a big fan of Reese's Pieces as well. So, and then he does this whole stuff where there's also the script also has the military, the government is kind of involved, but they're not really an antagonist because there's no antagonists to speak of in this script. There's some drama involving this alien who gets sick out of nowhere. Why? We have no clue. And for some reason, because the alien gets sick, the kids get sick because we need to tug your heartstrings and, need to make you cry because we're trying to manipulate you like we're the puppet master and manipulate you to make you feel these emotions and cry your eyes out because this alien that you barely even know who looks like a wrinkly walking ball sack is now dying and then dies but then comes back to life because Elliot says, I love you, E.T. I mean, I can appreciate some heart in a movie. I can do that. I'm kind of I'm a sappy guy. I admit it. I can go for that, but that's too sappy even for me. I mean, the alien is dead. It's as dead as a fucking doornail, and all Elliot has to do is stand over its corpse, cry, and say, "I love you, E.T." And then the alien's heart grows, lights back up, and he comes back to life. And he won't shut up, and he almost gets Alien in trouble again. He just goes, Alien, Alien. He's like, shh, shut up! Shut up! Shut up, E.T. Shut up, alien! So, and then, of course, the whole drama is, as well, they need to find a way for the alien to get back home. So E.T. can phone home. E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home. E.T. We get it! I get it! I don't like that scene because the ET just repeats himself like a fucking broken record, and it's so annoying. ET's voice, it's so nasally. There's nothing that's cute or endearing about it. This thing is creepy looking, and it's got this annoying voice. And then then it goes in, and it just keeps on going. ET phone home. ET phone home. ET phone home. It's like, just go home already. Why don't you get into your giant space testicle and go home? Get out of here. Get out of my face. As you can see, I did not like this alien. After watching this again as an adult, man, I did not like this alien. And I think that's a big reason why I thought this film was just there. It was just mediocre. Just eh. Because I didn't care for E.T. And that's the main thing. The script is so simple. All it is, alien gets lost, builds a friendship with this kid, and the alien has to find a way to get home. And needs this kid and his friends' help to do so. That's it. That's all it is. If you don't fall in love with this alien like Elliot does, and you don't want to be its best friend, and you don't care about it, then the movie is not nearly as effective as it could be. And that's one of the main problems I have with this movie. I did not give a flying fuck about E.T. I'm being honest. I did not care one bit whether or not this alien got home or not. I really didn't. It's just not a very... It's so creepy looking. He's got the skin tone of a turd. His head looks like a ball sack. It's a wrinkly ball sack with eyes and human teeth. He's got this glowing finger that he always lights up. I'm like, what are you gonna do? Use that and probe it up my ass? What's going on here? He's talking about be good, and I'm like, yeah, hey movie. Hey E.T., why don't you be good instead of mediocre? Instead of frustratingly mediocre? Because there are people out there, and that's fine. If you consider this a masterpiece, I have no problem with that. I'm probably going to get a metric ton of shit for this video. But you know what? It's my opinion, and I'm going to be honest about it. And I wasn't really that impressed with this movie, at least as a whole. There were certain scenes I was impressed with, but as a whole, not so much. But yeah, I just had to get the initial sort of disappointment and the initial kind of little bit of a rant on some things about this movie off my chest. And let's talk about the stuff that I like about the movie. I spent the first half of the video kind of ranting on it, kind of getting my shots in. Now let's talk about the stuff that I like about E.T. For one, I love the score by John Williams. The score by John Williams makes a lot of these sequences that, honestly, I wasn't really super into, really at least worth watching because of his score. This score is one of his best scores. It's a great score to listen to by itself, and it really does capture the spirit that Spielberg was trying to deliver and trying to bring to the screen and bring to life with this movie. I think the movie could have been better, but at the same time, this score is top notch. It's stellar. It doesn't get much better than this. And Spielberg's direction was good. He did a great job setting up his shots. There's some really great looking shots in this movie. I can see why a lot of people praise some of the direction in this movie because it is pretty impressive. Some directorial choices, I don't know, I thought were kind of strange. In particular, I know there's a lot of people who love this reveal. I just thought this was silly, and I thought this was really out of place. So the scene I'm talking about is when the government agents dressed up in astronaut suits start breaking into Elliot's home, breaking into his house. I'm just like, what the? I mean, a lot of people love this because it's so well put together and it's so well choreographed and so on, and it is a great looking shot. I'm just questioning logistics of the choice here. It just seems a bit random and doesn't make any sense to me. It's just kind of jarring, and I guess that's the point. But I think the main point was they're trying to show that how shocking it would be for astronauts to, oh, instead of the first time they're going to come in contact with alien life, it's not in outer space, it's in your own backyard or in your own living room. But at the same time, it just made no sense why any of these government agents would spend all of this time to get into astronaut suits just so they can break into these people's homes. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. Because there's other shots where there's people clearly just wearing biohazard suits, which makes the most sense. Hell, Peter Coyote shows up in a biohazard suit. Who are these guys who spent like it takes a long time to get into those astronaut suits? Plus, those astronaut suits cost a lot of money. So, who are these people? Who are these faceless government guys and who got into these expensive astronaut suits just to terrify Elliot's family? And terrify poor Dee Wallace over here. I mean, what is the point of this? I'm just asking, what is the point of this? I would have asked that same question if it was any other movie, because I'd just be like, what? Why? Why are people dressed as astronauts here? This doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I just had to throw that out there. I love the shot though of the government guys as they're walking up the hill in suburbia. It's a very Halloween 3 Season of the Witch-esque sort of shot. And there are certain things about Spielberg's direction that I do agree. He does a great job directing the movie. And some shots are very iconic, like E.T. and Elliot on the bike flying next to the moon. It's a very iconic shot, and I give him a lot of credit for, directing that scene as well as he did. And speaking of that shot, the effects. The effects are great. I mean, the shots of E.T. flying, making the bicycles fly, the shots of all the things that E.T. makes float in the air, the spaceship, Carl Rambaldi's effects, makeup effects on E.T. still look great, look pretty lifelike. I just didn't really care for the design, and it doesn't help either that he ripped it off. He absolutely 100% ripped it off from Rick Baker, from his designs for Night Skies. 100%. When you look at the early photo, that Rick Baker put on his Twitter, that he from one of the designs he did from ET, it is completely 100% blatantly obvious. And what he did is his design was a little bit different because it had a chin and it had a little bit more on top of its head. But Rick did some Photoshop work and took off a little bit of the top of the head, a little bit of the chin, and he even says himself, "Look, it's E.T.'s grandpa. It's E.T.'s father." I'm like, yeah, yeah, a little bit too close to for comfort in terms of the design. And also, like I mentioned earlier, there was four scenes in this film that I really liked. I really loved the scene in the school where Elliot is letting all the frogs loose in the classroom. That's one of the few scenes for some reason that stuck with me when I was a kid. It was that scene. All the other scenes didn't really stick with me that much. That scene did. And I still like that scene. I think it's really well edited. I love the way that Spielberg edits the sound. E.T.'s watching some old movie on TV, and then while he's watching this movie, it's like Elliot's and everything around him. It's like it's becoming a reenactment of that one scene. And I love the shot where you don't hear any sound other than the sound from the movie that E.T. is watching in the living room at Elliot's house. So there's a scene going on in the school. And there's all this chaos, and these frogs are jumping all over the place because, Elliot's letting them loose. And the door opens up, and the wind blows, and Elliot stands on top of some kid and gives this girl a kiss. I love the way that scene is shot. It's a very surreal scene, but it is a very memorable sequence for me personally because of how well it is shot. And I definitely got to, throw out there the editing, give big credit to Carol Littleton because the editor, because that scene was probably, that has to be a very difficult scene to edit. And she did a very good job. So that scene I love. I love the scene the first time when Elliot and E.T. fly, in the forest and they fly in front of the moon. I love that shot. I love that scene. I love the Halloween sequences. Those are fun. I mean, I can see why some people view this as a Halloween tradition because there's a nice Halloween scene in this movie that's fun. And I like the scene, and I really, really love the bike chase, the climactic bike chase. That's a really exciting, fun sequence. It's really well put together, and I admit it, I really love that scene. So, yeah, but for a movie that's about an hour and 55 minutes, there's only 4 scenes that I really liked, and the rest of them are just, I didn't really care. They didn't impress me that much. I thought the film was really slow paced because it just drug things out way too long. I wasn't that interested in the alien. The story hinged upon the fact that, oh, look, isn't it so amazing that this kid is becoming friends with this alien from another world? And I wasn't that amazed by it. I don't know, maybe it's because I've been watching a bunch of similar movies or similar plots lately as E.T. But then again, that shouldn't mean it, that shouldn't make a difference. I mean, a good movie is a good movie. Doesn't matter if it has a similar plot to another movie or not. So, yeah, it was just pretty dull and boring. Not much happened for like the first 50 minutes of the movie. You got creepy scenes like E.T. and drag. Just no. Like, what? Yeah. God, that's terrifying. Absolutely just no. I mean, that's scary. To me, E.T.'s scarier than Freddy Krueger. I'll take Freddy any day over E.T. Seriously. Um, but yeah, E.T. and drag is one of the scariest things I've ever seen. So, there's stuff like that, and E.T. just being an ass, just making all kinds of ruckus and all this other kind of stuff and getting Elliot in trouble. And then you have this really long drawn out death scene, which I know a lot of people that really affects them. They cry, they do this, to each their own. But I just thought it was drug out way too long. And there's not much explanation as to why E.T. is sick. I mean, why is he so deathly ill? Like, he seemed to be fine for at least a span of a few days, and now he's, like, on death's door? Like, why? They didn't ever even explain what it was. What did he get did he die of a broken heart? Is he, did he get sick? That's my assumption. Like, what did he get sick from? Did he get a cold? Like, what is he dying from exactly? And another thing, why does Elliot have this bond with E.T.? That anything E.T. does, it happens to Elliot as well. I mean, that's not what happened originally. I mean, is it just because E.T. like healed something, like he cut himself, and then E.T. healed it, and so there's like a bond then? But if I remember correctly, that happens afterwards. After all, no, actually, no, that happens before. But, because he gets cut on the saw blade trying to help build the radio for E.T. But still, I don't understand. It's not explained why they have this psychic link. It's just, Rant, they have a psychic link now. Why? I have no idea. I have no clue. But, because the screenplay said so. And so the script can manipulate you some more and, be the puppet master with your emotions. And, oh no, this alien that you've fallen in love with, we're assuming you've fallen in love with E.T. and you really love this alien. Well, now he's sick and he's dying, and now Elliot's dying as well. And, now we're going to tear apart your emotions and tear apart your insides. And I didn't buy it because I didn't like the alien, so I didn't give a shit. So, and I also knew the alien wasn't going to die anyway. So, come on, it's a Spielberg movie. Do you really think this alien's going to die? Come on, it's a kid's movie, too. This alien's not going to die. So, no, the alien doesn't die, which is predictable. But it doesn't matter, even if it's predictable and it was good, that wouldn't bother me. So that's the thing. I don't, even if something's predictable, that doesn't really matter to me. I mean, Flight of the Navigator is pretty predictable for the most part, but I thought it was a lot more fun. I thought it was a more entertaining movie than E.T. I thought it was faster paced. I thought it was more interesting. This just wasn't that interesting of a plot. It was just alien gets lost, meets up with this kid, they build a friendship, alien gets sick, and the kid gets better, alien gets better, kid and his friends find a way to help the alien contact his other aliens so he can go back home, and that's about it. That's all E.T. is. There's nothing else to it. I mean, there's a kind of interesting subplot with Peter Coyote's character, who seems like he might be this evil government bad guy, but then you find out he's actually kind of a nice guy. He's just doing his job. I honestly wanted to see more of that character. But other actors in this film did a good job as well. I mean, for one, I have to give a huge big shout out and I got to give a huge round of applause and big kudos to young Henry Thomas for his performance in this movie. It was impressive. It's one of the best performances by a young child actor I've seen in a movie. This Elliot was my favorite character out of the movie. I could care less about E.T. The only reason why I was worried about, the scene when Elliot and E.T. are sick is I'm worried about Elliot. I don't want him to die. So that's where the tension came from, is because I didn't want Elliot to die. Because I really grew to really like and appreciate Elliot. I like that character. I related to that character because I was the same kind of kid who's kind of, withdrawn and kind of a loner. And so I really related a lot to that character. And I think Henry Thomas just did an amazing job. And even though I didn't really care for the alien, he still made the dynamic somewhat work, at least halfway, because of how great his performance was. I just wish that, I liked the alien as much as other people did. And I thought the bond between Henry Thomas and E.T. was as strong as other people felt it was. But since I didn't buy into the alien, I didn't care about the alien, I only really liked about 50% of that relationship. And I only thought it was just, instead of, being a strong bond, I thought it was just a bond that's just barely being held together by the really hard work of Henry Thomas. And there's other characters that do their jobs all right. Drew Barrymore you could tell that she was a up and coming actress with a lot of talent, even at a young age. I liked her attitude. I liked her spunk. I didn't mind her in this. And she was just a little kid here, but you could tell that she was really talented even at a young age. And Dee Wallace did the best that she could with what she had to work with. Um, other actors, I mean, Robert MacNaughton, who plays Michael, this character starts out as a total dick, and it didn't really come across to me as brotherly love either. It just came across as, oh, he's a dick. But then he has a change of heart and becomes a better person later on and even helps save E.T. But I don't know, I just never really bought it. I never really bought his character change. That's just me personally. And I definitely didn't buy the character change of his friends, including a young C. Thomas Howell, because all of these kids were total douchebags to Henry Thomas. And because there's a scene earlier where they're, I don't know, this is where people point to Stranger Things rips off E.T. because of the whole thing where these group of friends are doing, they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I didn't get the same vibe because the people in Stranger Things were likable. The kids in Stranger Things were likable. These kids were assholes. And so these kids were essentially bullies. And just because, Elliot shows them that E.T. is real, now I'm supposed to be like, yeah, these guys are cool. Like, I didn't buy it. I really didn't. And apparently the young girl that Elliot kisses in class was a young Erika Eleniak. I did not know that. Wow. I could safely say Erika grew up to be a really hot young thing, hot thing, that's for sure. Because hot woman. Sorry, I'm just thinking about Erika Eleniak, the scene in Under Siege coming out of the cake, and my thoughts are scrambled right now. I apologize for those earlier comments there, but yeah, still, she grew up to be really hot. I didn't know that, so hey, I guess you learn something new every day. But anyway, I just had to talk a little bit about those characters real quick. And other than that stuff, I honestly don't know what else to say about E.T. Like I said, I thought it was slow paced for the most part, except for like a total like four scenes that I liked. The rest of it I could care less about. I didn't like the alien, so I didn't care about the scenes that he was in. You know, I was just waiting for this walking, wrinkly ball sack to just fly away, just go away, end the movie already. It just is so slowly paced, and I think, and the characters weren't that interesting other than Elliot. So it's not like there was a lot that they were building up to. There wasn't that much character development in the beginning. It just felt like they were just dicking around for the first hour with E.T. Oh, you know, trying to build this relationship with the kid, with Elliot and E.T. And, you know, I just thought it was just, you could have replaced the alien with any other kid and it wouldn't have made any difference. So that, I don't know if that was intentional or not. You know, just scenes of Elliot just showing stuff around in his room to the alien, going around and trying to hide the alien from his parents, including his mom, who must be blind because she can't see this walking wrinkly ball sack in her peripheral vision in a very unbelievable scene where E.T. is waddling around in plain view, and she's still so focused and so preoccupied on stuff around her that she can't see a space alien in her midst. But, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, if I liked the movie more, I probably wouldn't have even noticed that. I wouldn't be talking about that. But, you know, I just thought the movie was okay. And yeah, I thought it was E.T., the extra mediocre movie, the extra average motion picture. Uh, some good scene, you know, a few scenes I liked, a great performance by Henry Thomas. Peter Coyote is really good in the bit role that he has. I wish he had more to do. I wish he was in the film more. And the supporting cast is capable, but not really that memorable, and doesn't do a lot that's really that memorable either. So, and also this film is just a heaping pile of schmaltz and saccharin that, you know, I just, it's too sweet. It gives me a toothache. It makes me want to puke Dayglow. I mean, and I know people say things like, oh, Short Circuit is just a poor man DT, but with a robot. To me, Short Circuit was a lot better than ET. Because Short Circuit, Johnny Five, I actually cared about. Johnny Five was endearing to me. E.T. wasn't endearing in the slightest to me. He really wasn't. He can take that glowing finger of his and stick it right up his ass. Anyway, and he can go home. Maybe he can find a way to make it so his magic finger causes some kind of propulsion that ignites the gas in his intestines and sends him rocketing into outer space. Um, yeah, I just, as you can see, not really the biggest fan of this. It's kind of a review and a rant. I hope you guys enjoyed it regardless, though. If you want my final thoughts on E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial, I just thought it was okay, that it was average, it was stunningly mediocre. This is one of my least favorite Spielberg films that and, you know, all I gotta say is don't take it personally. It's just my opinion. That's all it is. If you love the movie, I have no problem with that. I'm pretty much in the minority. So many people love this movie. They find it to be a masterpiece. It's a classic. It's one of their favorite films of all time. And, you know, that's fine. I like that. I appreciate that. That means that this world is still an interesting place because there's people with differing opinions out there. But, you know, I wish I could say the same, but I can't. You know, I can only be honest, and my honest opinion is I thought E.T. was mediocre. Wasn't really that spectacular, and to be honest, I honestly thought it was kind of overrated, especially when it comes to Spielberg's other movies. I would absolutely 100% take Hook over this. I would watch Hook twice over watching E.T. again. And oh hell, I would even take War of the Worlds over this. And I know I'm gonna get flack for this, but I'm gonna be honest and I'm sticking to my guns here. I would rather watch Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull than E.T. I said it. I mean it too, because I actually liked that movie. So, but hey, that's just my thoughts. And just because I say it's overrated doesn't mean it's bad. Overrated doesn't automatically mean bad, and mediocre doesn't mean bad either. Mediocre means it's just okay. It's average. It's there. It's a time waster. It's not the worst movie. It's not a bad movie. It's not a movie I would personally call great, or really, it's not a movie I really liked. But it's all right. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But you know, I do admit it's disappointing. I thought it was going to be as magical and as amazing as I remember it being as a kid, and it just wasn't. And you know that was really too bad, to be honest. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this rambling review of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and stay tuned for a review of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm looking forward to watching that one again because I remember really liking that one, and I haven't seen that one in a long time either. So I hope that one holds up better, but we'll see. We shall see. And anyway, as usual, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys later. See ya.